The night was heavy with silence, only broken by the sound of hurried footsteps echoing against the broken ground. She was running, her breath sharp, her chest burning, but she did not stop. Behind her came the monsters, their growls low, their claws striking against stone and dirt. Every shadow seemed alive. Every rustle in the trees made her heart shake. She was not human. Her skin carried faint silver lines that glowed whenever the moon touched her. Her eyes were brighter than any child of Earth, and her movements quicker than the fastest hunter. But she was still afraid. The monsters had chased her for many nights, and she did not know how much longer she could escape. Her legs felt weak, her stomach ached with hunger, and her throat was dry like dust. She remembered her world far away, where these monsters had first appeared. They destroyed her home, they hunted her family, and now she was the last one left. She had crossed rivers, deserts, and mountains, but they followed, never giving up. Now she had come to a strange land, a land where humans lived. She had only heard about them from old stories told by her people. Some said humans were cruel and selfish. Others said humans could be brave and kind, but she did not know which one was true. She reached a small hill and looked down. There, in the distance, she saw tiny lights glowing against the darkness. They flickered like stars fallen to the earth. Warm and steady, her heart beat faster. It was a human village. The smell of burning wood and cooked food carried on the wind. It made her body tremble with longing, but also with fear. Should she go closer or stay hidden? If the humans saw her silver skin and glowing eyes, would they scream, would they attack, or would they open their doors? Offer her water, offer her bread? She did not know. The night grew colder, and her body shook. Her thin clothes, torn by claws and branches, could no longer protect her. She wrapped her arms around herself and stepped into the shadows at the edge of the forest. Her ears caught the sound of laughter carried from the village. Children playing even at night. Their joy like music she had forgotten for a moment. She closed her eyes and wished she could be one of them. Just a normal girl without fear, without monsters chasing, without the weight of survival. But the growl behind her snapped her wish in two. The monsters were near again, their eyes burning red in the darkness. She forced her tired legs to move, stumbling forward toward the village. The ground beneath her feet was sharp with rocks, but she ignored the pain. She could not fight them, not alone, not now. The village was her only hope, even if it meant risking her life in front of humans. The forest thinned, and she reached a wide field. The moon painted the grass in silver, and the air smelled of earth and smoke. At the far end, fences and wooden houses stood quietly. Dogs barked faintly in the distance, their voices sharp but not unfriendly. She froze, her eyes wide, her body trembling. Every instinct told her to hide, to vanish, to run back into the dark. But there was no way back, not anymore. She could feel the monster's breath on her neck, though they were still far. Her choice was clear: move toward the humans, or be torn apart tonight. She crept across the field. Low and careful, her steps were light. Almost like the wind, but still she felt exposed. The houses were so close now. She could see the faint glow of fire through their windows. She smelled food, warm bread, cooked meat. Something her body screamed for, her stomach growled, but she pressed her hand against it, afraid the sound would wake someone. A barn stood a little away from the houses, dark but not empty. She could hear the shifting of animals inside, their calm breath filling the night. She thought of slipping inside just for a moment, just to rest. But she stopped herself. If humans found her there, they might kill her without question. She lowered herself into the grass near the barn. Her body heavy, the ground was cold, but at least it gave her cover. She hugged her knees to her chest. Trying to stay awake, her eyes drifted, her head fell forward. But the sound of a bark woke her. She turned sharply, her glowing eyes meeting another pair of eyes. A dog stood a few feet away, its fur thick, its gaze sharp but not cruel. It tilted its head, wagging its tail slightly. The alien girl's lips parted. Surprised, her heart pounding. The dog did not bark loudly. It did not attack, it only watched her. For the first time in many nights she felt a strange comfort. But she knew morning would come, and with it the humans. Would they be like the monsters chasing her? Or would they be something different? She did not know. But tonight, she had reached the edge of her fate. The village was still asleep, the moon hanging low as the alien girl crouched in the shadows near the barn. Her body ached, her legs heavy from running all night. But her mind stayed sharp. She listened to every sound, every creak of wood, every whisper of wind. Humans were close. She could feel their presence, smell their fire. hear their quiet dreams carried through thin walls. For the first time in her life, she was so near to them. She had always imagined humans from stories. Some described them as cruel hunters, others as noble protectors, but in truth, she had no idea which face she would meet when morning arrived. The dog still stood a short distance away, tail wagging in small movements. Its eyes reflected the faint glow of her silver markings. Yet it did not growl. It tilted its head as though trying to understand what she was. She had faced beasts that tore through metal. Claws sharper than blades, yet here was a small creature. Unafraid of her, slowly, carefully, she stretched her hand toward it. Trembling, the dog sniffed the air, stepped closer, and licked her fingers with a warm tongue. Her breath caught. She had never felt kindness from another living thing since her world was destroyed. Her chest tightened, a strange warmth rising that almost pushed away her fear. But she dared not forget where she was. The village was full of humans who might not show the same gentleness as this dog. She pulled her hand back and curled her body tighter against the barn wall. She wanted to sleep, her eyes begged for rest, but her mind kept warning her. If she closed her eyes too long, the monsters could find her. If she slept too deeply, the humans could wake and capture her. So she balanced between wakefulness and exhaustion, drifting like a leaf on water, never sinking, never steady. Inside the barn, the animals shifted again. Horses stamping hooves, cows breathing heavily. Their calm presence felt strange. Her people had never raised animals for labor or food. To her it was a new rhythm, a steady pulse of life not built on fear or war. She pressed her ear against the barn wall, listening, the thud of hooves, the slow rumble of breath, even the gentle swish of tails. For a moment she imagined this was safety, as if the animals accepted her without question. And maybe, just maybe, the humans inside their homes would too. The hours stretched, the moon began to dip lower, and the sky slowly bled into gray. Morning was coming. Her heart pounded with every passing second. She was trapped between two dangers. Behind her in the woods, the monsters searched, never giving up their hunt. Ahead of her, the humans who might fear her more than the monsters themselves. Her body shook, not from cold this time, but from the weight of choice. To run again meant certain death. To stay meant uncertain fate. Her survival now rested not on her claws, not on her speed, but on the hearts of strangers she did not know. The dog barked suddenly, loud and sharp. The sound pierced the quiet, making her flinch. Her glowing eyes darted toward the nearest house. A window creaked, shutters opened slightly, and a sleepy face peeked out. The girl froze, pressing herself into the grass, praying the human would not see her. But the dog barked again, not in anger, but as if calling its owner. The human muttered, rubbed their eyes, and shut the window. The alien girl released a slow breath, relief washing over her like rain. The dog padded back to her, sat down, and leaned its body against her leg. She blinked, shocked once more by this creature's loyalty. It had no reason to trust her, yet it did. The sky grew lighter. Painted with streaks of orange and pink, birds began to sing, their voices sharp and bright against the quiet dawn. She looked at the village with wide eyes, every house now glowing faintly with life. Smoke curled from chimneys, the smell of cooking filled the air. Doors opened, humans stepped out, yawning, stretching, starting their day. Her chest tightened, fear clamped down harder than ever. If one of them looked her way, if one of them saw the shimmer of her silver skin, everything would change. She pressed herself deeper into the shadow of the barn. Holding her breath, the dog lay beside her, tail thumping lightly as though keeping her secret. She studied the humans from afar. A woman carried a bucket of water, her face tired but kind. Children ran across the yard, laughing, chasing each other with sticks. A man chopped wood with slow, heavy swings, his muscles strong but his movements weary. They looked so different from the monsters, so alive, so full of simple routines. For the first time, the alien girl felt a strange longing, not just for food or safety, but for something she had lost long ago. A home, a place where she did not have to run. But as the sun lifted higher, her chance of remaining unseen faded. Soon someone would pass too close. Soon someone would hear the dog's tail thumping or see her shadow in the grass. She had to decide. Should she reveal herself now, step into the light before they discovered her, or should she stay hidden, hoping the monsters would not strike today? Her mind raced, her body tense, her heart torn. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her choice, and then, faint but clear, a howl echoed from the trees. Her blood froze. The monsters were not far. The dog lifted its head, ears sharp, body stiff. The alien girl gripped the grass with trembling hands. Morning had come, but safety had not. She was no longer just a stranger in the dark. She was a silent shadow caught between monsters and men. The first rays of sunlight touched the village roofs, golden light painting the wooden houses and the fields beyond. The alien girl crouched in the shadows, her body tense, her heart beating so loud she feared the humans might hear it. She had survived another night, but the new day brought no peace. The monsters were close, their howls still echoing in her memory. And now the humans were awake. One wrong step and both dangers would collide. Crushing her between them, the dog beside her wagged its tail, pressing its warm body against her side. She glanced down at the creature, confused. Why would it stay with her? Why would it choose her, an alien, over its own people? The dog's dark eyes seemed calm, as if it had already decided she was not an enemy. It leaned against her again, pushing comfort into her tired body. A fragile bond formed in that silent moment. Stronger than words, stronger than fear. From the houses came the sound of life. A woman's voice calling children to breakfast. The hammering of wood, the clinking of buckets, the chatter of neighbors greeting each other. The alien girl stayed low, her glowing eyes scanning the humans carefully. She felt like a shadow at the edge of their world, unwanted, unseen, but unable to leave. Her stomach twisted painfully, the smell of food floating through the air like a cruel reminder. Warm bread, roasted grain, even the faint sweetness of fruit. She pressed a hand against her belly, closing her eyes. If she moved too soon, she might ruin her only chance. Then the dog barked. Sharp and sudden, the girl flinched, clutching the grass. Her glowing eyes darting toward the nearest house, a boy ran out, no older than 10. Holding a piece of bread, he stopped, staring at the dog near the barn. The dog wagged its tail and barked again, as though calling the boy over. The alien girl's chest froze, her body trembling. If the boy saw her, if he shouted, the whole village would come running. Her heart pounded like thunder. Her breath caught like fire in her throat. But the dog did something strange. It stepped in front of her, tail wagging, blocking her from the boy's view. It barked once more, happy and loud, drawing the child's attention only to itself. The boy laughed, tossed the bread to the dog, and turned back toward the house. The dog caught the bread in its jaws, dropped it gently at the alien girl's feet, and nudged it toward her. She stared at the gift, her eyes wide, her throat tight. The dog had chosen. It had chosen to share its food with her, to keep her secret, to protect her from discovery. She picked up the bread, her hands shaking. The warmth of it seeped into her skin. She tore off a piece and placed it in her mouth, the taste filling her like fire after endless cold. Tears burned her eyes, not because of the bread alone, but because of the kindness behind it, the kindness of a creature that had no reason to help her. For the first time in years, she felt something she thought was gone. Hope, yet danger never stayed far. A sudden shout rose from the forest's edge, not human but monstrous. The alien girl's body stiffened. She knew that cry. The monsters had found her trail again. The dog growled low, fur bristling, ears sharp. The humans in the village heard the sound too, their chatter breaking into uneasy whispers. A man gripped an axe, a woman pulled her children closer. They looked toward the trees, not knowing what waited in the shadows. The alien girl wanted to run, her instincts screaming to flee, but the dog stayed firm, standing in front of her, barking toward the forest. She realized then that leaving was no longer simple. If she ran, she would lead the monsters directly to the humans. If she stayed, she might have to reveal herself to protect them. Her chest tightened, her thoughts racing. Survival was no longer only about her. It was about the village, the children, and the dog that had chosen her. The sun climbed higher, spilling light across the field. More humans stepped out, their faces pale as the howls grew louder. The dog barked again and again, tail high, body tense, ready to defend. The alien girl looked at it, then at the humans, then at the dark forest beyond. Her choice was coming. She could not stay hidden forever. She could not remain a silent shadow when the monsters were so near. She clenched her fists, the faint glow of her silver markings flickering stronger. If the monsters came into the open, the humans would see her true form. They would see the strength she had kept hidden. They would know she was not like them. Would they fear her? Would they hate her? Would they drive her away? Her heart whispered no, but her mind screamed yes. Still, if she wanted to survive, if she wanted the dog to survive, if she wanted the children to live another day, she might have no choice. The forest grew silent for a moment, too silent. Then came the sound of snapping branches, heavy footsteps, low growls rumbling through the trees. The humans gasped, their eyes wide with fear. The dog barked louder, rushing toward the noise. The alien girl rose from the shadows, her body shaking but her eyes sharp. The time for hiding was ending. The monsters had come again, and this time, the dog had chosen her side. The village stood frozen, the sound of breaking branches still echoing from the forest. Men gripped tools in their hands, axes and pitchforks raised like weapons. Mothers pulled children inside their homes, shutting doors and windows, whispering prayers to the wind. The dog barked at the trees, sharp and fierce, its small body trembling with courage. And there at the barn's shadow the alien girl rose, silver lines glowing faint on her skin. The humans had not seen her before, not clearly, but now the light of morning betrayed her hiding place. Gasps cut through the air. A woman dropped her bucket of water. Spilling it into the dirt, a boy pointed with wide eyes, shouting words that carried across the field. "She's not human," he cried, his voice filled with both fear and wonder. Every gaze turned toward her, and in that moment, she felt the weight of 100 stares pressing down. Her body tensed, her breath caught, and she almost bolted back into the forest. But the growl from behind the trees reminded her there was no escape. The monsters were closer than ever. The humans stepped back, forming a half-circle of fear around her. Whispers spread like fire. "Is she a demon? Is she one of the monsters? Look at her eyes." Her glowing gaze swept across them, desperate to find one face that did not hold hatred. But all she saw was fear, sharp and heavy, cutting her deeper than claws ever had. The dog moved to her side, tail high, barking at the villagers instead of her. It stood like a guardian, as if telling them this stranger was not an enemy. Still, no one stepped forward, no one spoke with kindness. The alien girl raised her hands slowly, palms open. She wanted to show she meant no harm. Her voice trembled as she tried to speak, but her words were not their words. The sounds from her mouth were strange, soft, unshaped by human tongues. The villagers recoiled further, their fear growing sharper. A man spat into the dirt and shouted, "Keep away." Another raised his axe higher. Glaring with suspicion, she shook her head, stepping back, silver lines glowing brighter as fear surged through her. Her eyes filled with tears, not of weakness but of despair. She wanted them to see her as a person, not a threat. Then the forest answered. A howl, loud and piercing, broke the tense silence. The humans turned their heads, their faces pale. The alien girl felt her blood freeze. The monsters were not hiding anymore. They were coming straight toward the village. The ground trembled as their heavy bodies pushed through the trees. Birds screamed into the sky, fleeing the shadows that spread across the forest edge. The first monster burst from the darkness, a towering shape with jagged claws and glowing red eyes. Its roar shook the earth, its hunger filling the air like poison. The villagers screamed, some running, others standing frozen in terror. The man with the axe swung wildly, but fear made his strike weak. The dog charged forward, barking with fury, tiny compared to the beast, yet unafraid. The alien girl's heart pounded, her instincts burning. She could not stay silent any longer. If she let the monsters destroy this place, she would lose the only chance she had left, and worse, she would lose the dog that had chosen her. Her silver lines flared like fire, glowing brighter with each breath. The villagers gasped, some stepping back, others staring in shock. She moved faster than their eyes could follow. In a blink, she stood between the monster and the humans. Her hands glowed with strange energy, sparks racing across her skin. The monster swiped at her with claws sharp enough to tear through wood. She caught its strike with both hands, the force throwing her back but not breaking her. The ground cracked beneath her feet, dust rising into the air. Her eyes burned with defiance, her voice breaking the silence at last. She roared, not in words they understood, but in a sound filled with strength and pain. The villagers stared, torn between awe and terror. Was she protecting them, or was she as dangerous as the beast? The dog barked beside her, as if giving the answer the humans could not. It barked and wagged its tail, standing on her side, fearless and proud. The alien girl struck the monster, her glowing fist slamming into its chest. The creature staggered, snarling, its red eyes blazing with rage. Another howl came from the trees, and more shadows moved at the edge of the forest. This was not the end. This was only the beginning. The humans huddled closer, confusion twisting their faces. Some whispered prayers. Some shouted for her to stop. Some begged her to keep fighting. The alien girl did not listen to their words. She only listened to the dog's bark and her own heartbeat. She was not fighting only for herself anymore. She was fighting for the village, for the children, for the creature that had trusted her when no one else would. And in that battle, her true self shone brighter than ever. Yet fear still clung to the humans. They could not decide if she was a savior or a curse. And as the monsters circled closer, the village's fate would depend not only on her strength, but on whether fear or hope would guide the hearts of those who watched her. The ground shook as more monsters tore through the forest edge. Their roars rolled across the village like thunder, shaking walls and rattling windows. The humans screamed, running in every direction. Some clutching children, some grabbing tools, the air filled with dust and fear. The smell of burning wood from hearth fires mixing with the stench of the beasts. The dog barked furiously, darting back and forth, as though commanding the humans to move faster. And at the center of the chaos stood the alien girl, glowing lines burning bright across her skin. The first monster lunged again, its claws slicing through the air. She dodged swiftly, rolling across the dirt. Then striking back with a burst of energy from her palms, the blast sent the beast stumbling, its roar turning into a screech of anger. The villagers froze, eyes wide, watching her fight with power they could not understand. Some whispered, "She is saving us," while others muttered, "She is one of them." Fear and hope clashed in their voices. Tangled and sharp, another monster leapt from the shadows, its red eyes fixed on the dog. The alien girl's heart lurched. She sprinted faster than any human could see. Her body collided with the beast midair, throwing it aside before it could reach the small animal. The dog yelped but stood tall, wagging its tail at her as if cheering her bravery. She landed hard, dirt sprang around her feet, her silver glow pulsing stronger with each strike. Her breath came fast, but her will was stronger than her fear. The humans tried to fight too, swinging axes and pitchforks, but their strikes barely scratched the monster's thick hides. One man was thrown against a fence, groaning in pain. A woman screamed as a beast clawed at her roof, tearing wood like paper. The alien girl moved again, faster than thought, her glowing fist smashing into the monster's side. It shrieked, stumbling back, the humans staring at her in disbelief. She was their shield, though they still could not decide if she was their enemy or their savior. The monsters regrouped, circling her, 3 of them, larger, fiercer, red eyes blazing like fire in the fog. They hissed and growled, snapping their jaws, claws dragging sparks across the ground. Her chest rose and fell, exhaustion pressing heavy. But she refused to step back. She spread her arms wide, silver lines flaring bright, daring them to strike her instead of the villagers. The dog growled at her side, its small body trembling but its courage unbroken. Together they stood, strange allies in the face of darkness. One monster lunged, then another, claws crossing from different sides. She bent low, sliding beneath one strike, then leapt high, twisting midair to strike the second. Her fists cracked against its skull, the sound echoing through the field. The beast collapsed with a roar of pain. Writhing in the dirt, the humans gasped, some cheering, others crying out in fear. The girl landed hard, knees shaking, but she did not fall. Her glowing eyes burned with fire, her body refusing to give in, but victory came with cost. The third monster slammed its claw into her side, sending her flying across the field. She crashed into the barn wall, wood splintering around her, pain burning through her chest. The villagers screamed, some shouting, "She is dead," others clutching each other in terror. The dog ran to her, whining, licking her face, nudging her to rise, slowly trembling. She pushed herself to her feet, blood dripping down her arm. Her glow dimmed for a moment, but her eyes stayed fierce.
She would not fall, not yet.
Not while the monster still threatened this place. She raised her hand, silver sparks crackling across her skin. The monsters paused, their red eyes flickering with hesitation. She released the energy in a sudden burst. Light flooding the field, the blast slammed into the beasts. Throwing them back into the trees, the ground cracked beneath the force, the air humming with power. For a moment, silence filled the village, broken only by the sound of her ragged breathing. The humans stared at her, stunned. Children peeked from doorways, their eyes wide with awe. Men lowered their weapons, uncertain. Caught between fear and gratitude, one whispered, "She saved us," while another muttered, "She is too strong." The divide grew sharper, trust and suspicion twisting together like tangled vines. But the dog barked happily, jumping at her feet, tail wagging as if declaring the truth. She was not their enemy, she was their protector. The girl sank to her knees, her body heavy, her glow fading slowly. She looked at the villagers, her lips parting but no words came. She wanted to say she was not here to harm them. She wanted to say she only wished for peace, for rest, for safety. But her voice failed, only silence escaping. The humans watched, their decision unspoken, their hearts undecided. Would they see her as hope? Or as danger? Would they thank her or turn against her? The forest behind them stirred again. More growls rising. The fight was not over, not yet. The monsters had been wounded, but not destroyed, and as the sun rose higher, its light spilling across the field, the alien girl understood. Her battle was not only against the beasts, it was also against the fear in human hearts, and that fight might be harder than claws and teeth. The village was quiet after the battle, smoke rising from broken roofs and fences. The monsters had retreated into the forest, their growls fading into the distance. But the silence that followed was heavy, filled with fear and confusion. The alien girl stood in the middle of the field, her glowing lines dimming, her body trembling with exhaustion. The dog sat at her side, tail wagging proudly, as though declaring she had saved them all. Yet the humans did not rush forward to thank her. They gathered at a distance, their faces pale, their voices hushed, their eyes locked on her strange form. One man whispered, "She fought for us." Another muttered, "She brought them here." A woman clutched her child tighter, eyes full of doubt. The alien girl looked at them, her chest heavy, her throat dry. She wanted to speak, to tell them she was not their enemy, but her words were alien sounds, soft and broken, not the language of humans. Her silence only deepened their fear. The village leader, an older man with gray hair and tired eyes, stepped forward. He held a wooden staff, not as a weapon but as a sign of authority. His gaze was sharp, full of questions. He studied the girl, then the dog, then the broken ground where monsters had fallen. Finally he spoke, his voice steady. "You are not human, but you are not like them either," the villagers murmured, some agreeing, some shaking their heads. The alien girl lowered her eyes, unsure if his words carried acceptance or rejection. The dog barked, breaking the tension. It ran in circles around her, jumping, playful despite the danger just past. The children peeked from behind doors, their eyes lighting up at the sight. To them, the bond between dog and stranger looked pure, simple, honest. One boy whispered, "If the dog trusts her, maybe we should too," but an older woman snapped, "Children do not know monsters when they see them." The divide between the villagers grew sharper, like a crack running through stone. The alien girl stepped back, her hands raised slightly. She did not want to fight the humans, she only wanted peace. But her presence had already split their hearts. Some saw her as a savior, others as a curse. She turned her gaze to the dog, and for a moment she felt steady again. In its dark eyes there was no fear, no doubt, only trust. That small trust was the only bridge she had in this world. As night approached, fires burned across the village. Not for celebration, but for repairs and protection. The humans rebuilt fences, patched roofs, and sharpened tools. They worked with urgency, knowing the monsters would return. The alien girl sat apart near the barn, her back against the wall. She watched them, silent, her glowing lines faint in the firelight. The dog curled at her side, its body warm against her cold skin. Children wandered close, curiosity stronger than fear. One girl offered her a small apple. Holding it out with trembling hands, the alien girl took it gently. Her eyes soft, her heart aching. She bit into it, the sweet taste filling her mouth. The children smiled, but their parents pulled them back quickly, scolding them for foolish bravery. The alien girl watched them go, sadness pressing deep. She was caught between two worlds, not fully accepted by either. Her mind drifted to her lost home. She remembered nights by the fire with her people, laughter in the air. She remembered the songs they sang, the warmth of family, the sense of belonging, all of it torn away when the monsters came. Now she sat among humans, strangers who might never see her as anything but danger. Her heart longed for connection, but her fear warned her to stay distant. The village leader approached again. He stopped a few steps away, leaning on his staff, his eyes weary. "You fight the monsters, but they follow you," he said. "Why should we trust you? Why should we risk our children?" The alien girl bowed her head. Unable to answer, her silence spoke louder than words, and the humans turned away. Once again she felt the weight of rejection, but the dog would not let her drown in despair. It nudged her hand, licked her fingers, wagged its tail. It stayed close, as if reminding her she was not completely alone. Her chest eased, her lips curving in the faintest hint of a smile. For this bond was real, unshaken by fear or doubt. As stars filled the night sky, the humans gathered in their homes. The alien girl remained outside, sitting beside the barn. Her eyes scanning the dark forest, she knew the monsters would return. She could feel it in the air. The dog dozed beside her, its steady breathing calming her restless mind. She reached out, resting her hand gently on its back. For the first time in many years, she did not feel the urge to run for the first time. She felt like she belonged somewhere, even if only beside a dog, but deep in the forest. Glowing red eyes blinked in the dark. The monsters were gathering again. Stronger, hungrier, angrier than before. The battle for the village was not over, and the alien girl's place between two worlds would soon decide the fate of them all. The night stretched long and heavy over the village. Fires burned low, casting faint orange light on broken fences and shattered roofs. The humans stayed inside their homes, whispering, their fear stronger than their rest. Only the alien girl remained outside, sitting near the barn, her glowing lines faint against the darkness. The dog curled beside her, its head resting on her leg, its steady breathing the only comfort she had. She did not sleep, she could not. Her eyes scanned the forest again and again, searching for red glows in the shadows. The monsters had retreated, but she knew they were not gone. They were waiting, gathering, stronger than before. Her body ached. Her side burned from the wound of claws, yet her spirit held firm. She could not leave the village now, even if the humans did not fully trust her. If she left, the monsters would strike again, and the children would pay the price. The stars wheeled overhead. The moon rising high, memories returned to her. Of her world long destroyed. She remembered lying awake as a child, her family's voices soft around the fire. She remembered the promise of safety, broken when the monsters first came. And now in this strange place she sat again by firelight. But with strangers who could not understand her, the ache of loss pressed deep. But the warmth of the dog beside her eased the weight. For the first time in many years, she was not truly alone. In the stillness of midnight, the dog stirred, ears twitching. A low growl rumbled in its throat, sharp and warning. The alien girl stiffened, her glowing eyes narrowing toward the forest, and there they were, faint red sparks blinking in the dark. Dozens of eyes moving, circling, watching. The monsters had come back. Waiting for the right moment to strike, she stood slowly, careful not to wake the humans too soon. Her body shook with exhaustion, but her hands glowed with silver sparks. The dog stood too, barking into the night. Fearless though small, the sound carried across the village. Doors creaking, windows opening. The humans looked out, their faces pale, their fear rising again. The leader stepped forward, holding his staff, voice shaking. "They are back," he whispered. "They will not stop until we are all gone." The alien girl moved ahead of him, her steps steady despite the tremble in her limbs. She spread her arms, silver lines blazing bright. Her voice rose, a strange sound, not human words but a cry filled with defiance. The monsters snarled, their bodies pushing into the open, claws gleaming under the moon. The villagers gasped, some clutching weapons, others clutching each other. The dog barked louder, rushing to her side. Ready to face the beasts, the alien girl braced herself. Ready for the final clash, the monsters lunged, their roars tearing through the night. She met them head-on, silver light flashing against red fire. Her fists struck, her body twisted. Every movement fast and sharp. The ground shook with each blow, the night filled with the clash of fury and courage. The dog darted at their heels, barking, snapping, distracting. Together they moved like one, strange allies, fragile yet unbroken. The humans could not look away. They watched as she fought not for herself, but for them. Each strike she delivered, each cry she released carried the weight of protection. Children clung to their parents, whispering, "She is saving us." But still some voices muttered in fear. "She is too powerful." The divide remained, even as her strength kept them alive. The battle stretched long, the night echoing with roars and cries. The alien girl's body bled, her arms bruised, but her glow never faded. At last the monsters faltered, their snarls breaking into pained screeches. One by one they retreated into the shadows, dragging their wounded. The forest swallowed them whole. Their red eyes vanishing into the black, silence returned, heavy, final. broken only by her ragged breathing. She sank to her knees, the dog pressing against her side. The humans stepped closer now, slowly, carefully. They looked at her not with hatred, not with worship, but with something new, respect. The leader bowed his head. Voice low, "You saved us, and for that, we owe you." Some villagers nodded. Some still stayed back, but the wall of fear had cracked. It was not gone, but it was weaker than before. The alien girl lowered her head, her glowing lines dimming to soft silver. She had no words they could understand, but her eyes told the truth. She wanted no crown, no power, no control. Only peace, only a place to rest without running. The dog wagged its tail, licking her hand. Its simple loyalty stronger than any human vow. As dawn broke, painting the sky with pink and gold, the village woke to a new day. The alien girl lay beside the dog, her body weary but her heart lighter. The humans watched from a distance, their fear still present but their gratitude stronger. For now she was not a monster, not an enemy, but a protector. And though the monster still lurked in the forest, a new bond had been born, the bond of trust between a lost girl, a loyal dog, and the fragile hope of humankind. Until morning came, she was no longer alone.